Sukdeva Goswami mentioned that idam Bhagavatam namam Puranam Brahmashamitam. This Bhagavad Puran is the literary incarnation of the Supreme Person of Godhead. So as soon as Sonak Rishi and all other heard this thing, they were quite inquisitive. And of course, Sukdeva Goswami mentioned another. So this was written by the Vyasadev, and later on Vyasadev's man taught this to his son Sukdeva Goswami, and the Sukdeva Goswami taught this to Parikshit Maharaj, who was sitting on the bank of Ganges until fasting until a death. When he heard this thing, so he has asked many questions. So Sonam Rishi has asked, "You are the most fortunate and respected of all who can speak and recite." So he said, "Please relate the pious message of Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by the great and powerful says Sukdeva Goswami." Then he wanted to know the history of the Srimad Bhagavatam. In what period and at what place was the first begun? And why was this taken up? From where did Krishna Dev, the great sage, get inspiration to compile this literature? So basically, we answered this thing. How he got, right? How Vyasadev got the inspiration to write Srimad Bhagavatam. That was the whole chapter number 4, 5, and 6. Then the next question was that his son was a great devotee, an equibalanced monist, whose mind was always concentrated in the monism. He was transcendental to mundane activities, but being unexposed, he appeared like an ignorant person. While Sri Vyasadev was following his son, beautiful young damsels who were bathing naked, covered their bodies. So then the question was that how was the Srila Sukdeva Goswami recognized by the citizen when he entered the city of Hastinapur after wandering the province of Kuru and Jungle, appearing like a madman, dumb and retarded. So the second set of question was in relation to Sukdeva Goswami. First set of question was in relation to the history of Bhagavatam. Second set of question was in relation to Vyasadev. Third set of questions was in relation to Sukdeva Goswami, that how people recognized him. Why he heard? He was liberated. He was roaming like a madman, then how he was recognized. So that was the thing. Then the fourth sets of questions were about Parikshit Maharaj. That how did it so happen that King Parikshit met this great sage, making it possible for this great transcendental essence of Vedas to be sung for him. And he mentioned, Sukdeva Goswami was accustomed to stay at the householders only for 30 minutes for the time which is required to milk the cows. He doesn't stay more than that at one place. So how Sukdeva Goswami spent 7 days at one place? That was the question for Parikshit Maharaj. Why? It is said that Parikshit Maharaj was a first-class devotee of the Lord. What is his birth and activities are all wonderful. Please tell about us. He was a great emperor and possessed all the opulence of his acquired kingdom. He was so exalted that he was increasing the prestige of the Pandav. Why did he give up everything to sit down on the bank of the Ganges fasting until death? He was a great emperor that all his enemies would come and go down at his feet, surrender all their wealth for their own benefit. He was full of youth and strength. And he possessed kingly opulence that were difficult to give up. Why did he wanted to give up everything, including his life? These are some set of questions in relation to Parikshit Maharaj. Then he said, those who are devoted to the cause of personality of Godhead, live only for the welfare, development, and happiness of others. They do not live for selfish interests. Even though emperor was free from all attachment to worldly possession, how could he give up his mortal body, which was shelter for others? So if you can see first two set of questions in relation to the history of Bhagavatam and the inspiration of Vyasadev to write Srimad Bhagavatam, we already discussed. So when we are discussing about the history of Bhagavatam and inspiration for Vyasadev to write Bhagavatam, there are a few more questions which were discussed by, these questions were asked by Sonak Rishi to Sukdeva Goswami. The Sukdeva Goswami was answering, quoting the conversation between Narada and Vyasadev. So in that conversation, when Sukdeva Goswami is narrating, he is also narrating the conversation between Narad Muni and Vyasadev. So Vyasadev asked him question, asked Narad Muni question that no, what he did after Mahabhagavata left him instructing about Krishna. So all those questions were asked. How did he achieve this body? All those things were asked. Okay. So once that set of questions were over, so in the last class we completed that conversation. First two set of questions were answered. Now today we are going to discuss about third set of questions that is in relation to Vyasadev's meditation and teaching Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukdeva Goswami. So as soon as how Vyasadev compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, so that will be discussed today, and how Sukdeva Goswami was taught Srimad Bhagavatam, that will also be discussed now. Okay, so let's move ahead with the chapter number 7. So hope this background is clear to start with the chapter number 7. The title of the chapter number 7 is The Son of Drona Punished. So we'll start with this thing. Okay, Sonak Uvacha Nirgate Narade Suta Bhagwan Badarayana Sutvam Tad Vipretam Tata Kim Karo Vibhu. Rishi Sonak asks, O Sut, the great and transcendently powerful Vyasadev. Asks, O Sut, the great and transcendently powerful Vyasadev heard everything from Sri Narad Muni. So after the Narada's departure, what did Vyasadev do? So this is like, again, Sonak Rishi is asking to Sukdeva Goswami what Narada did after the departure of what Vyasadev did after the departure of Narad Muni. Okay. So now Uvacha Brahma Nadyam Saraswatyam Asrama Paschime Tate Samya Prasa iti Prokta Rushinam Satra Vardhanam. So Sukdeva Goswami said that on the western bank of the river Saraswati, which is intimately related with the Vedas, there is a cottage for meditation and Sampraya Pras, which enlivens the transcendental activities of the sage. So even if you go to Badrikashram, so there is a Badrinath temple and you have to go more ahead. So where you go Saraswati river, you can find that Saraswati river is coming and immediately disappear. Okay, very short time. So that is called, what is it called? Samya Pras. That is one place. So this is a historical place. Okay. Then he said, Tasmin Swa Asrame Vyaso Padri Samandali Mandite Asino Upa Stushya Prani Dadyo Manoswayam. So in that place, Srila Vyasadev in his own ashram, which was surrounded by berry trees, sat down to meditate after touching the water for purification. So he was started meditation. So Narad Muni already said to Vyasadev, oh, you are already sinless. So you can, I have mentioned some stories about Supreme Personality of Godhead and my own my own realization. That is sufficient. Now you can write about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Vyasadev was sitting in the meditation to write the transcendental pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, under the instruction of his spiritual master Narad Muni, Vyasadev concentrated his mind in the transcendental place of meditation. So, just to write Srimad Bhagavatam. Then he says, Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Prani Hitim Amale Apasyat Purusa Purna Mayam Chatad Asrayam. So, thus he fixed his mind perfectly, engaging it by linking it to devotional service without any tinge of materialism. So what he did? He fixed his mind perfectly. He fixed his mind perfectly, engaging it by linking it in the devotional service without any tinge of materialism. So he was engaged. He has fixed his mind. How? His mind was completely free from the material tinge. And thus, he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy, which was under full control. So then he got all the vision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Prabhupada write the big purport. Okay. So this is very, very important. That perfect vision of the absolute truth is possible only by linking process of the devotional service. Okay. Only by Bhakti Yoga we can understand Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. One can perfectly realize the absolute truth of Personality of Godhead only by the process of devotional service. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan esyasmi tattvataha. Okay. And one can enter into the kingdom of God by such a perfect knowledge. Imperfect realization of the absolute by the partial approach of the impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma does not permit anyone to enter into the kingdom of God. So even if someone has Paramatma realization or Brahman realization, they will not understand Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Sri Narada advised Srila Vyasadev to become absorbed in the transcendental meditation on the Personality of Godhead and his activities. Srila Vyasadev did not take notice of the effulgence of Brahman because that is not absolute vision. So then, okay, so yeah, so Vyasadev started meditating on it. Okay. So then in the next verse, Sukdeva Goswami continue saying that Jaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam paro api manute anartham tatkrutam chabi padyate. So due to external energy, so he saw what he said in the previous verse. He saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead along with his external energy, means Maya Sakti. Supreme Personality of God has three kind of energy. One is Maya Sakti, one is internal potency, and one is marginal potency. So Maya Sakti is this material world, manage this material world. Internal potency gives the pleasure to Supreme Personality of Godhead, and marginal potency are Jiva. Okay. So what are their function? So due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinking of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reaction of material miseries. There are three energies. One is internal, one is external, and third is marginal. So if you remember, we have discussed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.4 that it is a Bhumi Rappa Nalo Vayu Khammano Buddhi Revacha Ankaritim Bhinna Prakriti Ashada. Bhumi Appa means earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These are Panch Mahabhuta, mind, intelligence, and ego. So these are basically, this 8 consist of external energy of the Lord. Okay, so then he says, apart from this, there is another energy. Aparemitasvam anjam prakruti vidime param jeev bhuta mahabhav yedam dhareti. Apart from this thing, there is another set of energy which consists of living entity that is called para prakriti, marginal energy. They try to control this external energy of the Lord. Okay. So while controlling this external energy of the Lord, what do they do? So due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, think of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reaction of material miseries. We consider that, oh, I'm an enjoyer. As soon as they start thinking, I'm the enjoyer, I'm the controller, and what happened there? He get this material body. And as soon as he get this material body, what happened? He start identifying himself. Oh, he's this body. Forget this is not this body spiritual, but he start identifying with this body. And as soon as he identify with this body, then what will happen? Undergoes the reaction of material miseries. He suffer. Right? In so many different ways. Okay. So that's what Srila Prabhupada writes. The root cause of suffering by materialistic living by the materialistic living being is pointed out with the remedial measure which are to be undertaken and also the ultimate perfection to be gained. What is the problem with us? That we start identifying ourselves with this body. Oh, I am this body, and whatever in relation to body is mine. I am the enjoyer, I am the controller. That is the problem. Okay. So the living being is by constitution transcendental to material entanglement. But he is now imprisoned by the external energy and therefore he thinks himself one of the material products. That is the problem. Okay. And due to unholy contact, the pure spiritual entities suffer material miseries under the modes of material nature. So but why we are suffering? Because, okay, we are not this body, we are spiritual, but we start identifying that, oh, we are this body, and if body dies, everything is finished. And if someone in relation to body dies, then we feel pain and pleasure. Okay. Basically, what we do, we try to enjoy separately. That is the problem. Okay. In the next verse, he says that anartho apasam sakshat bhakti yoga madokshade dukosya janato vidvams chakre satvatam samhitam. Okay. So, the material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of emotions. Again, what we discussed in the chapter number 1, chapter number 2, chapter number 3, chapter number 4, chapter number 5, chapter number 6. Same thing in chapter number 7. Just if you go through Bhagavatam, each and every chapter of the Bhagavatam, except first chapter, everywhere it is mentioned devotional service unto Supreme Lord, devotional service unto Supreme Lord, devotional service unto Supreme Lord. Maybe in the beginning of the chapter, maybe end, maybe middle, or either of the three. Everywhere it is mentioned about devotional service, devotional service, devotional service. Again, in the first 6 chapter of Bhagavatam, the emphasis is given on devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of God. And they are categorized. How? Sravanam, Srotavyascha, Kirtitavyascha, Smartavyascha, Ichchato Bhayam. Haricharyanu Varnanam, everywhere it is mentioned. Haricharyanu Varnanam means glorify the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is what is mentioned. Again, it is mentioned here, Sattvataha Samhita. Okay. Sakshat Bhakti Yogam Adoksagi. Anartho Upsamam Sakshat Bhakti Yoga Adoksagi. Material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of the devotional. Clearly, the word is used, Bhakti Yogam Adokshate. Whose Bhakti? Not Desh Bhakti, not Matru Bhakti, not Pitru Bhakti, but Bhakti Yogam Adokshate. Adoksha means is the name of Lord Krishna unto the transcendence, into the transcendental Supreme Lord, Bhakti to the Supreme Lord, that will mitigate all suffering. Okay. Then he says, Lokasanya Janato Vidvams Chakre. But the mass of people do not know this. What is the problem with the mass of people? They are unaware. Bhakti is very simple. Again, it is Krishna says in the 9th chapter, verse number 1 or first or second, that Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyaksha Avagamam Dharma Susutta Tattvam Abhyam. This Bhakti is whatever knowledge I am going to tell you is that is Raj Vidya, that is the king of all the knowledge. And by practicing that, and that will be you will be able to perform by joyfully, and it will be giving all pleasure. So bhakti is very, very simple. Okay, but our mind is so complicated that it's very difficult to accept easy thing. Okay. Bhakti is very simple but difficult to perform because of complexity of the mind. Okay, so that is what is Vyasadev is telling. Okay, first of all, you should have knowledge. Even if you have knowledge, our mind is so complicated that it's difficult to perform. It's the problem of the mind, basically. Okay. There he says, Lokasya ajananto vidvams means, but the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadev compiled this Vedic literature which is in relation to supreme truth. You should remember some verses like Satvata Samhita, Haricharyanu Varnanam, Srotavyasya, Kirtitavyasya, Smartavyasya, Ichchato Bhayam. You should remember some words. Then you should remember Bhakti Yoga, Sakshat Bhakti Yoga, Adoksaje. You should remember this kind of words. So they are very, very important. So that is the sar, that mass of people are ignorant about this thing. Therefore, learned Vyasadev compiled this Vedic literature which is in relation to the supreme truth. What is the solution of dissatisfaction of Vyasadev? What is the solution of dissatisfaction of people in general? Sometimes, we do so much welfare activities, so many activities, costlessly for family, for nation, but we don't feel satisfied. And Vyasadev also did same thing. He wrote so many Vedic literature for the people in general, describing different yajnas, but he was feeling dissatisfied. He was despondent. What was the reason of despondent? So Narad Muni diagnosed that. Narad Muni suggested him, "Oh Vyasadev, please, Haricharyanu Varnanam, that will be the cause of the removal of the dissatisfaction." So Vyasadev was advised by Narad Muni to glorify the Supreme Lord, which will remove his dissatisfaction and the miseries of the people in general. That's why Narad Muni, he said, Vyasadev, he meditated and he saw the Supreme Lord along with his external energy. And he also saw that material miseries of the living entity. Okay. So he also saw the material miseries of living entity. How he saw the material miseries of the living entity? That was discussed in the previous verse. Okay, so there he mentioned that Jivatma is trying to enjoy separately. So that was the solution. So that was the problem, right? Yeah. Due to external energy, the living entity, although transcended into three modes of material nature, think himself as a material product, thus undergoes the reaction of material miseries. That's what again and again it is said in Bhagavad Gita. That we try to enjoy separately from the Krishna. That's why we are suffering. And that solution, what is the solution of this problem? Haricharyanu Varnanam. That's why Vyasadev compiled the Vedic literature, which is in relation to the supreme truth. Okay. Then he says, Yashyamve struyamanayam Krishne param purushe bhaktir utpadyate pumsam sokamoyo moha bhayapaha. Simply by giving an oral reception to the Vedic literature, the feeling for the loving devotional service to the Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprout up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. So these are the lamentation. Generally, we are lament. Sochiti kamshati. We are lamenting always. We are illusion. समझ में नहीं आता करना क्या चाहिए. We are always in the relationship, fearfulness in the relationship, office, wherever, losing someone, different kind of fears. All the remedies are given in this verse. What is that remedy? Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature. To this Vedic literature means to this Srimad Bhagavatam. Vedic literature means this compiled Srimad Bhagavatam Puran. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to the Lord Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. So, this is the solution given by Vyasadev, recommended by Narad Muni. So, that's the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's why we should take a vow. Okay, whatever happened, आकाश पाताल एक हो जाए कोई दिक्कत नहीं, पर मैं हर रोज मिनिमम 1 वर्ष तो पढ़ूंगा ही भागवतम का परपट के साथ. You should take that vow. Now auspicious Bhadra Purnima is coming. You should also inspire others who are despondent, who are materially suffering. You should inspire them to take Bhagavatam or give Bhagavatam. Okay. So that's what it says. Idam Bhagavatam Namam Puranam Brahma Sankam. Bhagavatam Puranam is not different from Lord Krishna. Yeah, I think there's some network issue, but anyway. So in the next verse, he says that Sahasanhita Bhagavatim Vitvan Anukramaya Cha Atmajam Sukam Adya Adhyapayamasa Nivrutti Nirantam Muni. So he says that the great sage, after Vyasadev, after compiling Srimad Bhagavatam and revising it, taught it to his own son, Sukdeva Goswami, was already engaged in the self-realization. So this is how this Vyasadev, this was the history how Bhagavatam was compiled by Vyasadev. He meditated and he saw Supreme Lord along with his energy. He also saw why Jiva is suffering. And he wrote a Bhagavatam for the mitigation of the miseries of the Jiva. Then after writing the Bhagavatam, probably I think there is some network issue, so not able to move ahead, but I'll try. So then the Vyasadev, what he did, after compiling the Bhagavatam, he taught it to his son, Narad Muni, Sukdeva Goswami. Okay, so that is what he said. So, great sage Vyasadev, after compiling Srimad Bhagavatam and revising it, taught it to his own son. Sukdeva Goswami was already engaged in the self-realization. So what does it mean? That Bhagavatam is only not meant for mitigating the material miseries, who are fearful, who are lamenting, okay, who are lonely, and who are illusion. No, it's not only meant for them. Even for the liberated soul, Bhagavatam is very, very tasteful. So that's what is Sukdeva Goswami mentioning, that Vyasadev taught this Bhagavatam to his son. Sukdeva Goswami was already liberated. Okay. Then he says, Sonaku Vacha Save Nivrutti Nirantaha Sarvatro Upekshako Muni Tasyava Bruhati Etam Atmarama Samkesata. Sri Sonaksh asked Goswami. Sri Sukdeva Goswami was already on the path of self-realization. Thus he was pleased with his own self. So why did he take the trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature? He was already Atmarama. Prabhupada, in the upcoming next few verses, the explanation about Atmarama verses, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is given 61 meaning of the Atmarama verse. Anyway, we will not discuss that part here. That is a part of CC. But Sukdeva Goswami was already liberated. Okay? He was already self-realized. So, and he was already Atmarama. He was pleased with his own self. So why did he take trouble to undergo the study of such a vast literature? If you go through Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, there it is mentioned that those who are Atmarama, they don't require to do anything. You could remember 3rd chapter, verse number 16, 17, and 18. There it is mentioned. What is mentioned? That, my dear Arjun, one who is not following but for one who take pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of the self-realization, who is satisfied in the self, fully saturated for him, there is no duty. They don't require to do anything. Okay. Yastu atmarati evasya atmaruptasya manava atmani evacha santushta tasyam karyam na vidyate. And in the next verse he says that naivatasya krute nartho na krute na kasyana nachasya sarva bhuteshu kasyat artha vyapasraya. Self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duty, nor has he any reason not to perform such a work, nor has he any need depend on any other living beings. So Vyasadev was already, Sukdeva Goswami was already liberated. He was Atmarama. He was self-realized. Then why did he took the trouble to understand, to study this Vedic literature, this vast literature, Srimad Bhagavatam? So actually it is said in this year, Vyasadev wrote Bhagavatam in 18,000 Puranas, 18,000 verses. But there is one Bhagavatam which is with Yamraj, which has 1 billion verses, 100 crore verses. It's very, if you would have been given 100 crore verses Bhagavatam, तो हमने तो हाथ जोड़ दिए होंगे. 18,000 श्लोक का भागवतम हम नहीं पढ़ पाते थे. 100 करोड़ वर्ष वाला भागवतम कैसे पढ़ेंगे? So now in the future, I think I forgot which chapter, 16 or 17 chapter of the first canto, we'll learn that when we do Krishna Katha, Yamraj also come and sit with us. Okay. So then what will happen? That there will be no fear of that. That is the power. Then Sukdeva Goswami said, So what question was asked, that why Sukdeva Goswami undergo studying this vast literature? Then Sukdeva Goswami is replying that Atmaramasya munayo nirgrantha api urukrame kurvanti ahetukam bhaktim itam bhuta guno hari. So Sukdeva Goswami said, all different varieties of Atmaramas. So there are different varieties of Atmaramas. Okay, that is described here. That who are those Atmaramas? Atmarama Munayo Nirgrantha Api. These are the description. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made 61 meaning of this Atmarama. Which are those? I am not discussing that. Ascetic, persistent, mendicant, sages, saints. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has made 61 meaning. There are different kind of Atmaramas. There are some yogis. Okay, there are some. Of course, someone knows they are not this body; they are spirit, so they are also considered as Atmarama. There are some Yoga Mishra Bhakta; they are also Atmarama. There are some Karma Mishra Bhakta; they are also Atmarama. There are some Gyan Mishra Bhakta; they are also Atmarama. There are Suddha Bhakta; they are also Atmarama. There are different categories of Atmarama, and there are in Yogi. There are different kind of things. Okay, there are 3 levels, 3 modes. There are some yogis, they are Atmarama, they know they are not this body, they are spirit soul. But they want to have a yogic siddhi for different purpose, just like Bhasmasur. He got a yogic siddhi, but for what? To kill Lord Shiva himself. So there are different kind of Atmaramas. Okay. There are yogi, they have a siddhi, but they can misuse. There are different kind of Atmaramas, those who take a pleasure in the Atma or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kind of material bondage, desire to render unallowed devotional service unto the personality of Godhead. So whatever stage we may be in Atmarama, in our self-realization, but we always desire, this kind of people always desire to render service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls. So Lord has such a wonderful quality, Krishna, all attractive, that even liberated person also get attracted. That's why they want to render service. And because of this attractive quality, what Sukdeva Goswami is trying to tell, that Sukdeva Goswami was also attracted toward Krishna. And that's why he undergo the study of this Srimad Bhagavatam. Then in the next verse, Hare Gunakshitam Matir Bhagwan Badarayanahi Adyagna Mahat Akhyanam Nityam Vishnu Janapriya. So Srila Sukdeva Goswami, son of Srila Vyasadev, was not only transcendently powerful, he was also very dear to the devotees of the Lord. Thus he underwent the study of this great narration of Srimad Bhagavatam. He was very, very dear to the devotees of the Lord. So, okay, there is some history about Vyasadev. It's according to Brahma Vaivarta Puran, Srila Sukdeva Goswami was liberated soul, even within the womb of his mother. So Srila Vyasadev knew that child after his birth would not stay at home. Vyasadev already knew. Therefore, Vyasadev impressed upon him the synopsis of the Bhagavatam so that child could be made attached to the transcendental activities of the Lord. And after his birth, the child was still more educated in the subject of the Bhagavatam by recitation of the actual poem. So when he was in the womb, he was taught this Bhagavatam. So the idea is that generally the liberated soul are attached to the feature of the impersonal Brahman with the monistic view of the becoming one with the Supreme Whole. But by the association of the pure devotee like Vyasadev, even the liberated soul become attracted to the transcendental qualities of the Lord. Vyasadev is a pure liberated soul. So even the monist, impersonalist, if they hear from Vyasadev, right, in parampara, from proper source, and what will happen? They also get attraction to hear the transcendental qualities of the Lord. By the mercy of Narada, Vyasadev was able to narrate the great epic of Srimad Bhagavatam. And by the mercy of Vyasadev, Srila Sukdeva Goswami was able to grasp the import. The transcendental qualities of the Lord are so attractive that Sri Sukdeva Goswami become detached from being completely absorbed in impersonal Brahman and positively look up to the personal activity of the Lord. That's the power. Even the impersonalists become personalist by the power of Bhagavatam. Okay. So, परीक्षितो अथो राजर्षेर जन्म कर्म विलापनम संस्थाच पांडुपुत्राणाम वक्षे कृष्ण तथोदयम. So Sukdeva Goswami thus addressed the rishi headed by Sonak. Now I shall begin the transcendental narration of the Lord Krishna, the topic of the birth, activity, and deliverance of King Parikshit, sage amongst the king Rajarshi, as well as topic of the renunciation of the worldly order by the son of Pandu. Now, the first three set of questions are already answered in history of Srimad Bhagavatam. Then, what was the inspiration behind? Who was the inspiration for Vyasadev behind writing the Srimad Bhagavatam, and why Sukdeva Goswami underwent the learning of this Vedic literature? Now, the fourth set of questions are going to be answered, which is in relation to Parikshit Maharaj. Okay, so we'll continue this tomorrow. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any question, comment, feedback? So today is our Sanchit Prabhu's birthday. So we'll wish him very, very happy Krishna conscious birthday, Sanchit Prabhu.